This film is actually brilliant. I love this one so much. Legends, welcome along to Here's Roddy's Reviews, the show that loves all things entertainment, shares that love of you. I'm your host, Rodney Stewart. We're getting dangerously close now to the end of the Hammer collection, and this one here is Fear in the Night from 1972. It stars Judy Geeson, Joan Collins, Ralph Bates and Peter Cushing, and this film is actually brilliant. I love this one so much. It starts off showing like school grounds, like a private school, and it pans across and you can hear the children and everything in the background. Like, it's all visuals and sound. You don't actually see any of the children, which comes into play later in the film. As you come across, you see something that kind of throws you a little bit. That's something that, oh, this is an interesting beginning. I don't want to say what it is because I'll completely destroy the movie for you, but well, slight spoiler here. This is actually the beginning of the film is actually showing the final moments of the film, and the bulk of the movie, in fact the whole movie, is told in kind of like a flashback form leading up to that. Basically, Peter Cushing, not in the lead role in this film really, is the headmaster of this private school. Judy Geeson is a young woman that is recovering from a mental breakdown, and she meets and marries Ralph Bates, who's a school teacher, and their plans are to move to this school for the new term for him to take up residence there as a teacher. And Joan Collins is Peter Cushing's wife in this movie. It's an interesting film. She, once in a while in the movie, when she's alone, she keeps getting attacked by this guy, this one-armed man, you know, like the Fugitive sort of setup. The one-armed man did it. So this happens quite a few times in the movie. First time it happens is in London. No one believes her. They move to the school, and again she thinks she's getting away from this crazy one-armed man, because they've left London, they've gone to this school out in the countryside. They're miles and miles away. Like, there's no way he can find her. But a couple of days there, again she gets attacked by this one-armed man, and we meet Peter Cushing's character, and he is in fine form in this movie. He is really, really good in this film at playing a real weirdo in a way, but it turns out pretty much, and I'm not going to deny it, I completely fell for it. There's a red herring in this here movie. Whenever you meet Peter Cushing, they put it in Front Street. At one point you see that he has one arm. She hasn't noticed it at this point, but the audience, the viewer, sees it, and you're like, oh, Peter Cushing, horror legend, of course he's gonna be the killer. But I'm kind of spoiling it for you. But there is a bit of a twist ending to this film that completely sideswiped me. Like usually watching movies, I'm either ahead of the plot or dead on with the plot. If they're going to give away a plot point in the movie, I'm either a mile ahead of it or I'm just on it just before it happens. Oh, of course this is what's going to happen. This film here, I'm glad to say, completely caught me out quite a few times. There is a sequence where she realizes that Peter Cushing has a missing arm. He's got the fake arm, and he is stalking her throughout the private school. This is within the summer holiday break before the term is due to start, and you know, there's little things that pop up within the movie where she keeps hearing the sound of children laughing and class has been taken and whatnot, but then if she goes to enter the room, she's hearing this noise from the sound stops, and it's all leading you to believe it's all part of her mental state after the mental breakdown. And you know, this part where Peter Cushing is stalking her throughout the halls of the school, and she's got a shotgun, she takes a few shots at him. The next morning, her husband comes back from a meeting. He had to be in London overnight, is when this happened. He comes back the next day, finds her sitting in the school, all quiet, withdrawn, and you know, he sees at a point Peter Cushing busts through a door, knocks a hole in it. She locks herself into this room. He puts the arm through it, unlocks the door, comes in, and she takes a shot at him. You see the blood stains on the floor and whatnot, and it's just a lot of things happening in this movie that keep you on the track they want you to be on. But then when the movie does eventually start to give away its secrets, you're just like, this is excellent. It's such a great little film. The performances in it are absolutely first rate from everyone involved. Yes, definitely out of the entire Hammer collection that's within this box set, has to be at least the top 2 or 3 movies for me on it. Is actually definitely one. Do not be skipping over this film. It's really good. Again, like most of the Hammer movies, there's that little bit of a slow start at the beginning, but don't let that stop you. They're old movies from way back when. It's not Avengers territory action every fart's end. You know, it's just it builds its momentum at the pace it wants to be at, and successfully, for me anyway, successfully kept me in the dark till the point where they wanted to let the secrets out, and I couldn't have been happier with this little film.